double teamed. Fires one up and hits from behind the backboard with the shot clock running down. Clint Capella.
No Trey? No problem. The Hawks blow out the Bucks in Game 4 and tie up the series. We will have the latest on Giannis' scary injury from the third quarter and where the Bucks go from here on their side. We've got two-time NBA champ Chris Bosh stopping by to chop it up. I don't know if we have champagne for him though, Richard. So go crazy. Get excited. We're in the conference finals and the jump starts now. Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols. Today I'm joined by the two best friends anybody could have. 2016 champ Richard Jefferson here in LA. 2008 champ Kendrick Perkins back in Texas. Later in the show, we get to reveal the WNBA All-Star roster. Very exciting. But first, yet another unfortunate injury this postseason. Two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo jumping up to contest an alley-oop with 7 minutes, 14 seconds remaining in the third quarter when his left knee appeared to buckle. He falls on the floor here in obvious pain, grimacing, clutching his knee, and the Bucks, well, they're calling it a hyperextended left knee for now, but sources telling ESPN that Giannis is expected to undergo further imaging on the knee today. This is frustrating for a Bucks team seeking its first NBA Finals appearance since 1974, but an injury to their star player, not exclusive to them, of course, this postseason. If Giannis misses Game 5, he would be the 10th different All-Star this season to miss a playoff game. The list of 9 already the most in a single postseason all time. And that, by the way, doesn't even include Trae Young because he was not named an All-Star this season. Of course, he was last season. Richard, what do you make of the rash of injuries to all of these stars in this playoffs?
Well, look, people have talked about it. They were warned about it before. A lot of it was soft tissue injury, and that's where you saw the hamstrings, the calves, like a lot of that stuff that was affecting players' groins. But ultimately, this is part of the game, and it's unfortunate. We knew that there was going to be a rash, and everyone's like, oh, you only care about the superstars. That's the only thing you're talking about. The only reason why we're talking about the superstars is because they're the ones that play the most minutes.
Right.
So their bodies are most likely to be the most fatigued. Yes, they are most likely to be the best specimens, but they are also the one pushing themselves to the limit. So it's unfortunate, but I think this season the champion is going to be decided by whoever has the most health luck.
I mean, to a degree, it's always decided a little bit by that, Perk, but it feels more significant this year, right? Perk, you with us?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. I'm right here. I'm sorry, Rachel. I'm so used to Richard talking so much. I didn't know it was my turn. I didn't know it was my turn. But it's all good. But at the end of the day, look, I hate all the injuries that's happening, and Richard and you are right as far as with is part of it is luck. But I have to put a little blame on the NBA. And I was one of the guys that were kind of critical of LeBron earlier when he was like, this is not a good idea. And I retweeted something and said, check ball. Nobody was trying to hear that. Get the Christmas Day game started. But this is the reason why. Because they had a short turnaround, didn't get a chance to have a full training camp, and then all of a sudden you go into a season where guys not adjusted to the workload, and this is what happened. You start to have these soft tissue injuries. Guys who playing a lot of minutes, like Richard just said, for as all the All-Stars and stuff like that, they're asked to perform at a high level. They're asked to play makeup games. All-Star game was thrown in there after they were promised that it wouldn't be an All-Star weekend. So going through the COVID protocol, a lot of things to me were kind of like set up for the players to have injuries, in my opinion, by the NBA. That's just my personal opinion.
It's been a grueling season. There's no arguing that. And some of the stuff that's happened has just been necessary. All these COVID protocols mean that these guys have been tested 2 or 3 times a day, that normally when they would be sleeping at 11 p.m., they have to go to the practice facility, or at 6 a.m., they have to go to the practice facility, which I get it. Poor millionaire has to set his alarm clock. But you are out there pushing your body to the limit in a short period of time between games. And then when your patterns are disrupted, I think, frankly, in my mind, that has been the most damaging, more so than the start date. The start date really affected the 4 teams that were left in the bubble. we were showing Kyrie Irving's injury. He wasn't even in the bubble. I mean, he hadn't played in so long, so I'm not sure the start date is what did someone like him in, but just as you guys say, when you have tired bodies, fatigued bodies get injured more quickly.
There's no sympathy, Rachel. That's the number one thing that I picked from this. When people were critical of Bron when he said this a couple of weeks ago, and even Perk, he said it. He was like, "Oh, no one's trying to hear that check ball," and it was like, well. There were other people. It wasn't just Bron. A lot of times his voice is the loudest because it has the biggest platform. But ultimately, there were a lot of people to discuss this. And so many times you have teams trying to protect players, but like the league should also try and protect their players in certain moments, trying to figure out best ways to get break.
Well, look, we'll have to see sort of how they go the rest of the way. Obviously, for a team like the Clippers, they played every other day for pretty much this entire playoffs. Some other teams have had to deal with that. They're trying to race to get these playoffs in before the Olympic Games because guys have commitments to their home teams and things like that. TV has contractual commitments. And then next season, we are supposed to be on schedule. So we will get back to what we used to have. Focusing back in on this series, though, if we look at the Hawks, they entered the game as 9-point underdogs because, of course, Trae Young wasn't playing because of that bone bruise in his foot. Well, they still blew the Bucks out, and it wasn't just the Giannis injury either. They led by 13 points at halftime. After the win, Hawks coach Nate McMillan updated Trae Young's status for Game 5.
I don't know. It was the report was just tonight he's out. He didn't feel comfortable enough to put pressure on his foot tonight. So I'll get a report tomorrow, and I'm sure it'll be a game time decision.
All right, so Trae is, you heard Nate, a game time decision for Game 5. We're tied 2-2. Giannis' health is now in question. Perk, how do you see this series playing out?
Well, I see the Bucks winning in 7, and this is the reason why. Because they have home court advantage, and also they have two guys over there. One of them is signed a contract for $177 million, and the other signed for $160 million, and that's Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. They're getting paid the big bucks. It's time for them to elevate their game. There's no way that we should be leaving out of a game like last night and saying that a young guy like Cam Reddish, who has been out for 4 months, outplayed Chris Middleton. That's no excuse. And then you have Drew Holiday, right? I know Lou Will, but Lou Will's up in age. He still could get buckets, but Lou Will shouldn't outplay Drew Holiday. And then now I'm thinking maybe you'll change, maybe Mike Budenholzer change his offense. Feature Brook Lopez some more on the low block. Let him get going. Feature Bobby Portis. We all know that Brook Lopez still have something left in the tank for scoring on the low block. He's a guy that's capable of getting 20 and 10. But when it comes down to the Milwaukee Bucks, it's all about their mindset. Are they going to be locked in? Are they going to play smart basketball and not be dumb? That's the thing. But I still can see the Bucks pulling this out in 7 games due to home court advantage.
It's so tough because this Bucks team has the makeup of a champion. They have the makeup of a perennial, dominant playoff team. But they have consistent playoff struggles. I won't just say failures. Like, everyone goes through those hiccups. It doesn't matter if you're LeBron James, if you're Michael Jordan. Everyone goes through those hiccups. But the most frustrating thing is in moments like this. Right? Chris Middleton, and look, Perk was quick to say, I don't think it's Batman and Robin. I think it's Batman and Superman. Well, you're wrong on that one, because ultimately what Batman does is he's going to show up every single time. And that is a moment where you can't go 6 for 17. You can't follow up that type of performance that you had that had everyone saying, oh, well, they've turned a corner. Middleton has turned a corner. He can be that supporting player. But that supporting player, you know what he's got to do? He's got to do right now what Paul George is doing. When my big fella is out or down, I raise my game up. I don't go 6 for 17 and lose to a team without Trae Young. That's devastating. That's demoralizing, not only to the team, but also your fan base. That hurts your fan base when they see that, because it's hard to support that type of performance consistently.
Well, Rachel, to be honest, right now Chris Middleton is making me and RJ look pretty damn bad.
More you, a lot more you, dog.
Because Offset yesterday, you told Rachel and I, hey, you remember when I said No. You remember when you was like, oh, you remember last year I got criticized for saying that Chris Middleton is the Michael Jordan and Giannis is the Scottie Pippen.
I didn't say that. I said that Giannis had to find his Michael Jordan, that he couldn't be the best player on his team in the last 6 minutes. There needed to be somebody better, and Middleton stepped up. But I was surprised that Middleton had that type of moment. But don't put that on me, dog.
Oh man, you know what? That's just a coward move, man. Running from the smoke, running from Twitter trolls. That's just weak of you, RJ.
What are you talking
but at the end of the day, look, Rachel.
Oh, okay.
Rachel. At the end of the day, listen. I'm gonna go back to the home court advantage. All right. Fans help you win games, right? Mm-hmm. How many times, and we talked about this time and time again, how many times have you done post-game interviews and players have said, hey, I thank the fans helped us through this game. Mm-hmm. Look, the arenas is going to be rocking. Role players play better at home. Milwaukee has the home court advantage. Milwaukee still have two stars on their team, 2 all-star caliber players, and Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday. I feel like they could get it done in 7.
Make sure you tell that to the Brooklyn Nets.
Look, what's complicated for both of these teams, and they're both dealing with it, is that those supporting players are built, the team is structured to be built around that one elite player, right? When you talk about some of the other guys on the roster, they are there on purpose. If you have done good team building to complement, they're not just supposed to be good, they're supposed to be good but also complementary to your star player. And once you take that star player out of the orbit that everyone else is circling, it becomes more complicated to figure out how to push someone else into that middle sun position. I'm doing an analogy.
Well, I get the analogy you're saying. You're saying that, look, like
you take Trey or Giannis out.
Yes, but the Hawks figured it out, and the Hawks don't have a Chris Middleton. And
that's the challenge, and the Hawks were the one who were able to get it done in the last game.
That's the frustration. It's like the frustration. It's like the Bucks have 4 guys that have been all-stars. They have 4 guys on their teams that have been all-stars. Mm-hmm. You have Brook Lopez, you have Chris Middleton, you have Jrue Holiday, and Giannis. One of them goes down, Giannis being the best player. That's an opportunity for other guys to step up, and we've seen it around the league with other players. Chris Paul goes out, Phoenix Suns still win. Devin Booker steps up. Campaign steps up. All of a sudden, it's like these guys go out, and then it's just stuttering the whole time.
The challenge has been laid down. The Bucks are going back home. We'll have to see what they can do in Milwaukee. All right, coming up, we will reveal